Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with the Marvel Legends Captain America Giant Man Bathwave Nick Fury. Looking at the packaging back and his bio blurb reads, "When injustice demands action, S.H.I.E.L.D. expert Nick Fury joins the charge against the bad guys." Then pictured on the left there is Giant Man, the build-a-figure of this wave, and the action figures you will need to collect to build said Giant Man are Captain America, Iron Man Mark 46, Black Panther, Nuke, Nick Fury as we have here, and Red Guardian. So here is Nick Fury out of packaging, and I've said before that it's not a wave of Hasbro's Marvel Legends without at least one Bucky Cap body, and here that's being provided by Nick Fury. Rendered in classic comic Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. attire, the navy blue jumpsuit and white detailing. And all that detailing from the holster to the belt to the pouches to the various straps, they're all in receipt of a really nice deco, creating a used-in mission air of reality to them. Effectively, it's a redo of Toy Biz's effort from Series 5 of their Marvel Legends. Nonetheless, a welcome redo for a couple of different reasons. Firstly, Toy Biz's effort dates back 13 years now, and we can argue until the cows come home over which did it best, Toy Biz or Hasbro, yet the fact is that over time now there are more Hasbro Marvel Legends than Toy Biz ones, so this new Marvel Legends Nick Fury, at least visually, is a much better fit for a modern Marvel Legends collection. Secondly, I do feel like classic comic Nick Fury has been hugely overshadowed by Samuel L. Jackson, who does of course play the Marvel Cinematic Universe incarnation of the character. So much so that if you Google image not movie Nick Fury but just Nick Fury, you get a hell of a lot of pictures of Sam Jackson, and about the 24th picture down would be classic comic Nick Fury. Me, I grew up reading Marvel comics at a time when the idea of a Marvel movie was still just a pipe dream, yet today the Marvel movies are so pervasive that I'm sure, particularly for some younger fans, they're probably looking at this action figure wondering why Nick Fury's a white guy. Well, in main Marvel continuity, he is, with the Ultimate Comics version, Ultimate Comics being a separate continuity from the main Marvel one, he is a black character, with the Marvel Cinematic version of the character being more based on that version. Or vice versa, with it being rumoured that Marvel tailored their Ultimate Comics Nick Fury after Samuel L. Jackson to begin with. With comics being my first experience of the Marvel Universe, I'm of that camp that watches the movie and is often left saying, why aren't they like the comics? Yet now there are fans who enter Marvel fandom via the movies and are doing the opposite. They're picking up the comics and saying, hang on, why aren't these like the movies? Well, for those people, Marvel contrived a more cinematic style Nick Fury for their main Marvel comic continuity by giving classic white Nick Fury a secret black son, Nick Fury Jr., who was also, what are the chances, missing an eye too. Can you Adam and Eve it? Phew, I had to get that off my chest, as I'm sure someone would have asked why he's white. And in spite of making all that effort to point out that this is a classic comic book Nick Fury, to me the head sculpt still has a movie realism about it. And by that I don't mean realistic to David Hasselhoff, who played Nick Fury in the 1998 TV movie. I just feel like they've taken away some of the stylized simplicity that give the Toy Biz version its comic book flair and that I find lacking in this newer version. However, I do sense many will like it, and this is likely me going against the current of popular opinion. It's just when I even look at the comic art on the packaging, and that has a kind of self-determination to the expression, whereas the actual head sculpt to me says, so what? And while on the subject of head sculpts, he comes with an interchangeable head representing Dirk, anger, an over-the-top parody of Nick Fury from the Nextwave comic book. Admittedly, it is quite a niche reference that'll go over many people's heads, but I find the nicheness of it quite comforting in that it's proof at least one person at Hasbro isn't an evil corporate monster and is actually reading comic books. Sure, we could have got, say, an alternate Nick Fury Jr. head, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do get that character further down the road as an individual release. Dirk Anger as an individual release, I wouldn't have held my breath. And Dirk is likely obscure enough pick to many to just represent a generic S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Which is exactly what we get in the next interchangeable head, this helmet version, which enables you to army build. It could be Nick Fury under there, it could be Dirk Anger under there, it could be your mum under there. It's quite cool. I like how with the deco, the gold paint simulates a visor. And speaking of deco, I should draw attention to the shield emblem on his shoulders as it's really crisply applied. Then he comes with two guns, only one an accessory, as that one's sculpted into the holster there. Grrr. But his actual gun accessory is holstered on the hip here, and let's remove that for a closer look. Sadly, it's very flat and plastic looking, would have benefited greatly from some dry brushing or a wash. As a gun, I'd say it has the look of being less for firing bullets and more he pulls the trigger and lights his cigar with it. And now, by popular demand, let's decapitate Samuel L. Jackson, and yes, it's actually a pretty much perfect fit. It's a quick, easy custom for either a more field operative MCU Nick Fury or a comic book Nick Fury Jr. And while I forget who asked, I was asked if the Steve Rogers head fits on, and no it doesn't. The ball doesn't fit into the head, but it's sitting on there. It doesn't look too bad if you want a slightly too long-necked Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Steve Rogers. Now looking at articulation, his head rotates side to side. He's able to bury his chin into his chest and then able to look up a real good amount also. At the shoulder, his arm rotates, and this hinges up to more than a right angle to his body. There's upper arm rotation followed by a double jointed elbow. Then at the wrist, his hands rotate, and these are also hinged, moving the hand down and then also up. There's waist rotation followed by an ab crunch, which moves this far forward but then doesn't move especially far back. At the hips, his legs move out to the side this much, they move this far forward, and then they move slightly back. There's upper leg rotation followed by a double jointed knee. There's rotation at the top of his boots there, and at the ankle his feet are hinged, moving backwards and forwards, and he has that crazy ankle rocker pivot that I love! With this being his widest stance possible, still with both feet flat on the floor. And without that ankle pivot, you'd never be able to get him into a great freestanding running pose like this. So yeah, I'd give this Nick Fury a recommend. I mean, I do wish I liked the Nick Fury head sculpt a little more. I just have a picture in my mind of what I want it to look like, and this isn't quite living up to that. But Hasbro, they're not mind readers, and they do pack him with 2 additional heads, so it's not like I can knock them for not trying. Anyway, click this video if you missed my look at this wave's Red Guardian, and now to answer a couple of questions asked in that video. Actually, the action figure at Toy Fair that came with that swoosh effect was not this Red Guardian, but Secret War Captain America, which is due to be released later this year. Actually, no, I imagine it's probably more tiring for some of you to watch it, but it's not tiring for me to talk about, as articulation is what it is. A certain joint bends a certain amount, that's all just stating facts. What can be tiring is the more subjective things that I have to formulate and communicate my opinion about. Plus, while I've likely gone over the articulation on the Bucky Cat body like 100 times, you never know which one of those is going to be somebody's first experience seeing that articulation. So it does need to be covered, but hey, if you have any ideas on how to streamline the articulation, let me know in the comments below. So stay tuned for Giant Man, and please, if I mean anything to you, take a quick second to hit that there thumbs up button, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.